Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Emily Marlow Beck. You're the president over there now.
Correct.
I guess Daddy John is the emeritus chairman. Is that what
he is? The chairman of the board. I will tell you, he's there 6 days a week.
I know.
He doesn't slow down.
After breakfast at LD's.
That's right. That's right.
I see him and his wife in there all the time, and I get after him. I said, "You got to watch that old man," But yeah, he's still active.
He's
still
very
great,
active.
Very active. It's great. Well, Emily is here today. She's going to talk about the 75th anniversary of Marlow Motors. It's amazing that a business is, especially when you go through 3 generations, really.
Right.
And I can tell you, not many businesses. We're in our 44th or 43rd year or something. And it's hard to make it past that 5 years. They always say then 10 years, but to go 75, that's something. So what's the history of Marlow Motors?
So we're really proud of it. It's funny, the legend is every business who's been around for a while has a legend. And in 1947, we were also in a vehicle shortage.
Right.
And history buffs will know it was after World War II. There were some vehicle shortages. And our corporate legend is that my grandfather, Guy Marlow, was having trouble getting cars. And there was kind of the wild, wild west in the car business back then.
Sure.
And so it was easier for him to get a car franchise or to get a car dealership than it was to get a car. And part of it was just kind of a little bit of the shenanigans that went on in getting cars at that point. He didn't really want anything to do with that. So he wanted to do it the right way. He got a car dealership. It was a Kaiser Frazer dealership in 1947. History buffs can Google that and know Kaiser Frazer. And that was in 1947. And, ultimately, my dad, who grew up in Front Royal, he went off and did his thing and then came back and took it over. And he was the second generation. And then I grew up in Front Royal working at the dealerships. I went off, did my thing, eventually came back and took things over. So 75 years, it's a big deal. And it's been interesting because now that we're in a vehicle shortage and we're dealing with some of the same stuff, I tell people, I say, look, remember, we were founded by a man who tried to do the right thing during a vehicle shortage.
Right.
That's part of our DNA. We have been here. We will be here again.
Sure.
We can work through this. This is part of who we are. So let's just have a long view of things. So we have the benefit of having a long view, whereas not everyone does.
All right. I always say, this too shall pass.
That's right.
That's right. It'll go. It goes through cycles, goes ups and downs. We can't get paper to print on,
Oh, right.
I ordered 20,000 sheets of paper. They send me 4. And I said, well, when am I going to get the rest? They said, well, around the first of the year.
Oh,
I said, what are we going to do? And it's cars the same way.
Same thing.
They tell you put an order in. Well, then they say you can't even put the order in because you're not back ordering.
Right.
It's just, I think the general public doesn't really realize the hoops that a business owner goes through just to keep the doors open.
And it's not just our business, it's every business. Every business has got their thing. And so it's a challenge, but you get through it.
I just noticed that all the car lots, they spread the cars a little farther apart, keep the lot full.
Right. That's right. Well, it's
But you've done a lot of great things in your 75th year. It's kind of like we've noticed on Facebook and around the community, we're doing 75 great things in our community, and it's like, what are you at 100 now?
Yeah, well, it's funny. As of this meeting, we're at 73. By the time this rolls live, we will be past 75. We expect to go way past 75.
Right.
And it's so funny. At the beginning of the year, we didn't know we were going to do this.
Right.
All we knew was we had a kind of a strategic planning session. We had someone from Laurel Ridge come in, help us work on our core values, and we said all we know is that we feel like we need to really find a way to be local in a tangible and measurable way. It's not enough to just say shop local. That makes for a great bumper sticker, but what does that mean for our customer? And so we left that meeting thinking, how can we be local in a tangible, measurable way that means something to our customers? And we didn't know the answer, but we just kind of stewed on it. And then one day I was driving down the road and I'm doing the math, end of month, I'm thinking 25 work days and, that's 25 times 3. What if each dealership, we have 3 stores, what if each dealership did an act of kindness every day in a 25-day work month? We'd get to 75.
Sure.
I thought my team would think I was crazy. I think they would be like,
that anyway.
They probably do anyway. They're like, oh no, what is she going to ask us to do? And that wasn't the case at all. Everyone got on board and was so excited for this opportunity. And I was telling you a little bit before the meeting, I thought it was going to be the type of thing where corporate would pick a bunch of activities and we'd have a sign-up sheet and we'd walk around and,
And
make
beg
people
people to go.
And that has not been the case. It's actually flipped to where I get updates of what people are doing based off what they care about, what they love, what they. I was telling you, we had a manager from our Front Royal store painting at a Warren Coalition recovery home yesterday with her family, and I didn't come up with that idea.
Right.
She brought it to us, with the nonprofit and what they need, and it's just been.
And I'm sure there's a lot of things that have happened that you don't even know about.
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing, and one of the coolest parts about it that I didn't anticipate is how many of our employees have said, I volunteered here because you needed somebody, but you know what? I thought it was pretty cool, and so I signed up to be a volunteer when this is over because I can give an hour a week or a month to do this. Yeah. And as an owner, someone who's rooted in the community, what better joy could you have than that? That's just pretty.
The blessing is in the giving.
That's right.
It's always not in the receiving. People think, I got a bunch of good stuff.
Right.
But really, the blessing that we get is giving. And I think that's really where it is. And once people have got in the habit of giving, of their time, their money, and everything else, that they do get a little joy out of that. They don't really realize it until you got to do it. You got to try it, and maybe you'll feel a little better.
Right.
And like they say, the old saying is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think it's so true. It rings.
Well, and that
it's a
was
cliche, but it's a truism.
It is, and that was kind of in our heart when we started this. We said, look, shop local. Everybody knows the tax benefits, and everybody knows all the magic stuff that happens when you shop from a local business. But what does it mean to be local? Emphasis on the be. That's a verb. You need to do something. And so we felt like we needed to set our organization up for success. And so, we have Marlow Ford in Luray, and we have Tri-State Nissan in Winchester. And in each respective market, we've got what's called a CARES team, which is a group of employees in each dealership. And their job is to plug into the community and figure out, how do we engage? How can we help? What can we do to get our people to be local, right? Because it's a verb. So it's been really fun to see how this has all come together and some of the nonprofits we work with. And that's cool, too. I had no idea.
Isn't that amazing?
No idea. All this amazing stuff was going on every day.
I know it comes through here, and every day it's a new organization, a new group, or an old group I didn't even know existed. And they're just everywhere, and they just kind of like creep out of the woodwork, and you're thinking, how long you been here? Well, 50 years, 40 years, 10 years.
Right.
And a lot of people are involved in multiple organizations. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I see them at the thing, and I said, wait a minute, you were just over, I helped there too, and I helped there too. And, and people, they get a joy out of the giving that they do in helping other people. Yeah.
It's fun. I have 3 young children, and it's been kind of a weird time in the news, and there's a lot going on. And I tell my kids, look, most people are good. Most people are fundamentally good. And it's been neat because with some of these projects, I've taken my kids along and gotten them involved and said, look, these are all the helpers. These are all the people who are doing stuff that you don't even know they're doing. Yeah. And maybe you can be one of these people too, And so it's been a neat thing for us. And is transformative too strong of a word? I don't know that it is. I think that when this is done, we will, gather our care teams together and we'll have a powwow and talk about, okay, what did we learn? How do we continue this? Maybe in a different way. So it's a big commitment to do 75 acts in a month. Let me tell you, it is. Woo! We're all a little tired. We're all a little, chasing. We're at that last stretch of the race right now where we're just muscling through it. But we do know that we don't want the feeling that we have built within our organization to die. We want to find a way to kind of keep it alive.
Well, we did that. Now it's a checklist, and we move on to the next. And we don't think about it till another 75 years go by. Yeah.
Right. It's too late now. It's not a. I think our team's engaged and they want to do something.
Once you start, it's kind of hard to quit.
That's right.
Because if you look back at it from an outsider looking, they just did that for a gimmick.
Right.
But they find out it might start off as a gimmick, but it really takes a life of its own.
Well, and we got a little bit of that at the beginning. There were a couple people that were like, car sales.
They're trying to sell cars.
And, and you just, a couple times I got a little worked up at it because I want to protect my team, and my husband says, "Calm down, just let it run through."
It can't be about selling cars because we don't have
That's what I said. I don't have any. So and it's bigger than that, and it's really about building culture, building a team, and we in business we celebrate branches. How big are you? How many?
Sure.
And that's important. But sometimes it's a time to celebrate roots.
Right.
And we felt like this was a time to celebrate our roots. How rooted are we? There's strength there, and we have to just really take advantage of that and connect with the community, because there's a difference in serving a customer and serving a customer who's also your neighbor.
That's right. And that's the thing about a local business. We live in the community, we work in the community, we employ people from the community, and it's all about that. And like you say, and there's a lot of businesses come and go, and when you really look back at the cause of these, is because they're really not focused on their customers and taking good care of them. I mean, yes, a purpose of a business is to make a profit, but it's also to take how you do that.
Right.
You got to start taking care of those customers. And people forget their first rule of business.
That's right.
And of course, back on the other side is marketing. Everything is marketing. Marketing is everything.
Right.
So and everything we do, and we don't realize it. Just like I remember, I was talking to somebody. We'd lettered up their vehicle, and had their name all over it. And he's driving across the bridges, and the guy calls him on the phone because he reads his phone number. He said, "You idiot! You cut me off. You're doing this." And they get into a verbal match. And I told him, I says, you realize now that your truck's all lettered up, that's your brand, and you got to drive,
Right. And there was a little bit when we first launched and all this stuff went out, I had my fingers crossed and I said, okay, we're out there, we got to do this. And then somewhere along the line, it just we knew
off.
it was gonna take off. And so, as far as the PR and the Facebook, one of our hopes is, we have really two hopes with that. One is these nonprofits, man, if we can leverage our platform to get them some attention and awareness. And so we try to say a little bit about each nonprofit that we're working with so that people are aware of what's going on there. And then also, we hope that other people are inspired. And some other groups in town have actually done similar acts of kindness and have said, hey, Marlow's inspired us. And wow.
You mentioned the Warren Coalition. They're doing this We See You.
Yes.
And we really support that. And that's a great an idea of just, it's the old saying, catching something, people doing something good.
Right.
We're not supposed to be out there beating our chest on the street corner and say, look, see what I did.
Right.
It'll speak for itself and the word will get out.
Right.
But we wanted to share some of that good stuff with the community about the great things, the 75 great things you've done. We don't care what they were, you just did them. And we don't need to know what they were, but we know you did them and your people will benefit from that. It's a great thing. So what's the plans for the next 75 years? Are you grooming your kids?
I'm just trying to get my kids to do their math right now. We're at that phase. So we're at a different phase right now. My kids are young, and like I said, we're just trying to get through every day. But
you're covering up your gray hair, so you don't have to worry about that. Your dad is a little gray.
That's right.
He still has hair.
He does. And I'm very fortunate that I get to see him every day because even though he's not doing the heavy lifting, what a great mentor.
Oh yeah.
What a great mentor.
Well, it's always say, what about that? Where is that at? Who do you know? That's what they do. Of course, the old saying is you don't really realize how smart your parents were until you get about 30 years old. And you say, when did you get so smart?
I know how that works.
I'm sure you did it.
I know exactly how that works. I remember the day when, usually it involved having children when I was like, whoa. Yeah. I didn't realize how hard this was.
Yeah. So you go back and mom and dad, and you say, well, I'm really, thanks a lot, it helped, but it's great. So your employees are picking up. You do have these 3 locations, and it's tough running a business like that. I mean, you have to get good people, and you try to hire local. Are you having trouble in hiring people? I'm sure you have job openings.
Everybody's having trouble hiring. We always have job openings. I think that one thing that people don't understand about the car business is, for the most part, we want people who don't have a background in the car business so that we can train them.
Exactly.
And so people are a little intimidated. A lot of our top employees have other careers in other industries, and we use that to help teach us about the issues that we're trying to solve in the community.
For what little bit I know about the car industry, about a lot of cars.
That's right.
But that industry's changed a lot. I mean, the culture's changed. The approach of selling has changed. Like you mentioned, we don't really want people in the car, the old guys in the car, because we don't sell cars like that anymore.
Right.
And it's more. It's kind of like I had the police chief in here yesterday. We talked about community policing. Well, selling is almost like that. It's community selling,
Right.
Especially your local businesses.
And one of our core values is we want our employees to be innovative problem solvers.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're not really selling cars anymore. We're trying to solve problems.
Right.
And so if we can listen to people, if we can have a diverse workforce that understands.
Right.
You need moms on your staff to know what a working mom is going through. You need dads who know. You need a variety of people, and so if we
gotta
can
have those minivan owners, don't you?
You do. You need all sorts of people, and
look how this thing works over here. Isn't that
that's
great?
right, because everybody's kind of got a different pain point, right? Depending on what you do.
I remember one time I was at a conference and was talking to some people, and she said she bought this new car, and only because her coffee cup fit in the cup holder. She looked at a lot of cars and nothing would fit, but she said, when I found a car that fit my favorite coffee cup, I bought it.
Right.
She didn't care what the car was, but it fit her coffee. So you never know why people buy.
You never know. One of the things we did is our service hours are open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., no appointment necessary. And the reason why is I'm a working mom. I can't take off work to get my car serviced.
Exactly.
We have to be able to see where people's pain points are. And most of the time it's time.
It is.
But there's other things too. Yeah. And we've got to be able to solve that problem. So it's not really about selling a car, although that could solve the problem, but it's really about transportation problems.
I
and
always
solving
tell people, I really don't sell it. I just help you buy.
Right.
Right. And most people, when they're ready to buy. We just got to help them.
Right.
That's
right.
what it is.
Right.
And in the old days, it was we're going to shove it down their throat because they don't know what they want. But nowadays, people are educated. They do, they Google all that stuff.
They know. But that's where it's something like the 75 acts of kindness is so important, because even though you're not expressly saying it, what you're demonstrating to your team is we're here to serve.
Exactly.
And we're here to serve. And today we're serving by painting a recovery home. But tomorrow we're serving by making sure that we get that car seat transferred from this car to this car because somebody's stressed out. And how that humility, that ability to come in and say, we're not here to tell you what you need.
Right.
We're here to help you and serve. And so there is a trickle-down effect when you're able to infuse kindness into your corporate culture. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're hoping happens, so that even when we're done with our 75 acts, everyone knows what to expect, and kindness is an expectation.
And we expect that to continue on down.
Right.
And like you say, a little bit of kindness goes a long way.
That's right.
That's what they say.
That's right.
A little sugar helps the medicine.
That's
so
right.
many cliches.
I tell you what, we could just, it's funny, when I lived in Washington, D.C. for a lot of years, people used to tease me because I had all these cliches, and I was like, I grew up in Front Royal. Like, we have a lot of cliches in Front Royal. Like, we're really good at it out there. I said metaphors, that's my power language.
But they're that because they work.
Because they work better than anything else. Like,
metaphors. Easy to remember.
That's right.
And you just do it.
That's right. So...
Well, Emily, I want to congratulate you on 75 years. It's great. Of course, the old saying is, we hope 75 more.
That's right. Thank you very much.
And hopefully your children or some cousin or somebody will.
You never know. You never know. It
sounds like you might have an employee-owned company in the future.
Well, I want them to feel like they have ownership in what they do. And, it's funny. Sometimes they think they work for me, but I work for them.
Exactly.
I carry, and COVID really brought that home, is how much you care about your team and how much you work for them when you value them. But it's just one of those things. I just want to thank you for what you do in getting the mouthpiece and getting the good news out to what's going on, because there's so much good going on.
There is so much.
And we just need to talk about it.
It's just like, our schedule books up. I just can't do anymore.
Right.
I got another business to run.
I know.
I get Mark Williams here running the camera, and then he's running the press and doing art and graphics and running over and doing this.
But it's important, and I appreciate you taking the time. It's like our team. We're doing the 75 acts, but we said, look, we still got to take care of customers. Like, we still got it. We're the customer experience cannot suffer during these 75, these 75 acts. And I think we've managed that well. But somebody has got to. There's a need for what you're doing, and so we really value.
Well, we
you
appreciate
getting the word
your
out.
support and the things you've done to help us over the time, and hopefully we'll help you, and it'll all work out.
That's right.
It always does.
It's about being local, right?
Be shop local. It's always say. I remember one time I was talking to one of these politicians, and he's telling me, "Well, I got a really good job on this banner, and right on it says." We need local jobs, right? And I said, where did you buy that banner at? Oh, I got a really good deal online. I said, now how many local jobs did that help?
I understand completely.
And
That's right.
He said, oh, I didn't think about that. And that's the thing is, you got to think about the things. The schools,
Right.
they always come over. They want you to. They got their hand out for donate for this and donate for that, but they're not buying anything local. They're I have a friend in Florida, and I bought something online. I said, well, if you want local support, you got to give local support.
Well, I'll just probably close with the thought that I literally walked from my office to here, and in that moment I sat there and I said, this is pretty neat. I'm walking from my office to your office so that we can have a conversation about something good that's going on in this town. Yeah. And if you don't see how special that is, then you need to kind of wake up, because we do have something special in this community.
We want to keep it that way. And we hope everyone can just get with the program, so to speak. Well, Emily, it's so nice talking to you. I really appreciate it. We're neighbors. They're right next door, or 2 doors down, I guess. Right. And so hopefully we'll see more of you and your children.
Right.
I want to see them out there washing the car.
Just
wax on, wax off.
It is in the works. We've had these discussions. Just wave at them.
Our kids, they grew up in the warehouse. They played in the warehouse. They did all sorts of
I
stuff.
grew up working for my dad. Yeah. When I was middle school, washing cars, working in the parts department, doing all that stuff. So I think my kids, that's a rite of passage. You got to do.
Okay.
Most of the time.
According to your dad.
According to my dad.
All right. Thanks again, Emily.
Hey,
we
thank
really
you
appreciate
very
it.
much.